In our last topic for algebra, we learned that algebra is using letters to denote numbers, or rather, an unknown number. So for example, if I wrote x plus 2, okay, this means I am literally adding 2 to an unknown number, x. We also learned, okay, how to manipulate numbers. For example, we learned to combine them. Let's say 2x plus x is equal to 3x. Okay? Because if the letter is the same, x and x, we can add the coefficient behind them, the number behind them. 2 plus 1 equals to 3. We also learned how to expand an equation. X times 2x is equal to 2x squared. Okay? And we also learned how to factorize from an equation. Example, 4x squared plus x both have a common factor, x, which means you can take it out, put it outside a bracket, and divide the terms inside by this factor x, which gives us 4x plus 1. Okay? In this topic, however, we want to find an answer for x. We want to find a numerical answer or number for x. So for example, if I were to give you a new equation, let's say x plus 2 equals to 4. What is your answer for x? And you might look at me and go, oh, well, that's obvious. X must be equal to 2, right? Because 2 plus 2 equals to 4. And you'd be right. Okay? But what exactly are we doing when we get this x equals 2? Well, if we write out our equation again, x plus 2 equals to 4, what we're actually doing is we are subtracting 2 from both sides of the equation. I know this sounds a bit weird, but bear with me for a second. See, when we add, or rather, because of the plus 2, okay, we want to get an answer for x, which means we want to get rid of this plus 2. How do we get rid of plus 2? We do that by doing the opposite of plus. And the opposite of plus is minus. So by adding, or rather by subtracting a second minus 2, this plus 2 and this minus 2 will cancel each other out. Which means I get back x equals to 4 minus 2, which gives me x equals to 2. Or if you put it in another way, you can think of it as going from x plus 2, when I go from x plus 2 to x equals to 4 minus 2, this plus 2 has shifted over to the right side and became a minus 2. Okay? So the shortcut method, okay, can be to think of it as a plus becoming a minus on the opposite side. Let's just write that down. The shortcut where a plus on one side becomes minus on the other side. Okay, and likewise, okay, if we were to see something else, maybe let's say, let's change color for this. Let's say if we were to try 2x minus 2 equal to 8. Okay, so this is a different question altogether. And I want to get an answer for just x. How do we do that? The first thing we do is we're going to cancel this minus 2, okay, by adding the opposite operation of minus to both sides, which is plus. That means 2x minus 2 plus 2 equals to 8 plus 2. Okay? This gets rid of my minus 2, or you could treat it as the minus 2 moved over and became a plus 2. And 8 plus 2 gives me 10. The next question we ask ourselves now is, how do we get rid of this 2? Now you see, 2x is actually 2, okay, times x, correct? Or rather 2 multiplied by x. Okay? So if we just want to get an answer for only x, then we need to get rid of this 2 times, or this 2 multiplied by. So how do we do that? Again, the same way we got rid of plus and minus, we got rid of this minus by doing the opposite operation, plus. So to get rid of multiply by 2, we need to use the opposite operation of multiply, meaning we need to use divide, or rather divide both sides by 2. Meaning, in other words, 2x, let's just change the denote that, divided by 2 is equal to the other side, 10 divided by 2. And so what we get here is quite simply x equals to 10 divided by 2, which is 5. In other words, the shortcut method for this, and let's just write it down, is a times, rather a multiply on one side becomes divide on the other side. And of course, this goes the other way, just like how when I moved the plus from x plus 2 to the other side and became minus, I also moved a minus from one side and became a plus. In the same way, when we move times from one side to the other side and becomes a divide, I can also do the reverse and move a divide by 2 back, and it becomes a multiply. Okay? So in summary, for this lesson, okay, if we have two numbers, x minus b equals to a, okay, and my bad. In summary, if we have this equation, x minus b equals to a, okay, and I want to find just x, okay, that means I'm moving this minus b to the right hand side. And to move a minus b, it becomes a plus b. If it is x plus b equals to a, it becomes x equals to a minus b. And if it is x dot b, where dot is times, x multiplied by b equals to a, x equals to a divided by b. And if x divided by b is equal to a, okay, then x equals to a times b. So this is part 1 of the equation, learning how of this topic, learning how to manipulate various equations.